You think history is boring? Think again. Here are 50 shocking facts from history that will blow your mind. History is full of surprises, isn't it? We often think of historical figures and events as being incredibly distant, separated by vast stretches of time. But sometimes the connections are closer than we imagine. Consider this mind-bending fact. Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the building of the pyramids. Think about that for a moment. The pyramids, those colossal monuments of ancient ingenuity, were already ancient history to Cleopatra. She lived in a world that we might consider ancient, but it was far removed from the world that built those iconic structures. It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? It challenges our assumptions about the timeline of history and reminds us that the past is not a monolithic block, but a series of distinct eras, each with its own unique character and context. It's a humbling thought, and it makes you wonder what future generations will think of our own time. The Vikings, those fearsome Norse seafarers, were known for their raiding, trading, and exploration. They were skilled warriors, and their weapons were essential to their success. But did you know that in times of desperation, or perhaps as a display of macabre dominance, Vikings sometimes made weapons out of their enemies' bones? Imagine the chilling effect of facing an enemy wielding a weapon crafted from the remains of their fallen comrades. It's a testament to the harsh realities of Viking life and the brutal nature of warfare in that era. These weren't just tools of combat, they were symbols of power, intimidation, and the ultimate disrespect for the vanquished. It paints a vivid picture of a society where survival was paramount, and the lines between necessity and barbarity were often blurred. The Vikings were a complex people, capable of great feats of exploration and craftsmanship, but also of acts that shock our modern sensibilities. Wars, throughout history, have ranged from drawn-out conflicts spanning decades to brief skirmishes that are over almost as soon as they begin. But can you imagine a war so short that it barely registers on the historical timeline? The shortest war in history lasted only 38 minutes. It was the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896, a conflict between the United Kingdom and the Zanzibar Sultanate. It began with the death of the pro-British Sultan Hamad bin Thuwaini and the subsequent succession of Sultan Khalid bin Bargash, who was not approved by the British government. The British issued an ultimatum. Bargash must stand down. He refused, and the Royal Navy opened fire. In less than 40 minutes, the Zanzibar palace was destroyed, and the war was over. It's a bizarre and almost comical episode in the annals of military history, a reminder that not all conflicts are epic struggles. The ancient Romans were renowned for their engineering, their military prowess, and their sophisticated culture. But their hygiene practices? Well, let's just say they were a bit unconventional by modern standards. One particularly eyebrow-raising example, Romans used urine to wash their clothes. Yes, you read that right. Urine contains ammonia, which is an effective cleaning agent. So, while it might seem disgusting to us today, it was a practical solution for the Romans. Public laundries even collected urine in large pots for this purpose. It's a stark reminder that what we consider clean and acceptable is often shaped by cultural norms and technological advancements. The Romans were a resourceful people, and they weren't afraid to use whatever was available to them, even if it meant soaking their togas in pee. Genghis Khan, the founder and great Khan of the Mongol Empire, was one of the most successful military leaders in history. His armies conquered vast swaths of territory, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. But the scale of the Mongol conquests had an unintended and far-reaching consequence. Genghis Khan's army killed so many people, it actually cooled the Earth's climate. The massive death toll led to the abandonment of agricultural land, which was then reforested. This reforestation absorbed significant amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, leading to a measurable decrease in global temperatures. It's a chilling example of how human actions, even those driven by conquest and violence, can have a profound impact on the environment. It also highlights the complex and often unpredictable relationship between human history and the natural world. Ancient Egyptian medicine was a mix of practical knowledge, magical beliefs, and, well, some rather bizarre remedies. While they possessed some understanding of anatomy and surgery, they also relied on treatments that seem utterly strange to us today. For example, ancient Egyptians used dead mice to treat toothaches. The method involved grinding up the dead mouse and mixing it with other ingredients to create a paste, which was then applied to the affected tooth. The logic behind this remedy is unclear, but it's likely that it was based on a combination of superstition and observation. Perhaps they believed that the mouse possessed some magical property that could alleviate pain, or maybe they had observed that certain substances found in mice had a temporary numbing effect. Whatever the reason, it's a testament to the ingenuity and sometimes unsettling practices of ancient medicine. The Middle Ages were a time of great social and political upheaval, and legal systems were often quite different from what we have today. One particularly strange aspect of medieval justice was the practice of putting animals on trial. Yes, pigs and goats included. Animals were accused of various crimes, from damaging property to even murder. They were then subjected to formal trials, complete with lawyers, witnesses, and judges. If found guilty, they could be sentenced to punishments ranging from fines to imprisonment to even execution. While it might seem absurd to us now, these animal trials reflected a belief that animals were subject to the same laws as humans and that they could be held accountable for their actions. It also served as a way to reinforce social order and to demonstrate the power of the legal system. The Aztecs were a complex and fascinating civilization known for their impressive architecture, their intricate social structure, and their elaborate religious rituals. One of their most popular pastimes was a ball game called Ullamalistli, which was played on a specially designed court. But this was no ordinary game. It had deep religious significance, and the stakes were incredibly high. Aztecs played a ball game, where the losers could be sacrificed. The exact rules of the game are still debated, but it's clear that it was a brutal and often deadly affair. The losing team, or sometimes just the losing captain, would be sacrificed to the gods, ensuring the continued prosperity of the Aztec Empire. It's a chilling reminder of the role that sacrifice played in Aztec society and the lengths to which they would go to appease their deities. Napoleon Bonaparte, the Emperor of France, was one of the most powerful and influential figures in European history. He was a brilliant military strategist, a shrewd politician, and a man of immense ambition. But even the great Napoleon had his moments of humiliation. On one occasion, Napoleon was once ambushed by a horde of rabbits. He had arranged a rabbit hunt for himself and his entourage, but when the rabbits were released from their cages, they didn't scatter as expected. Instead, they charged towards Napoleon and his men in a massive furry wave. The hunters were overwhelmed, and Napoleon was forced to retreat to his carriage, pursued by the relentless rabbits. It's a comical image, the mighty emperor fleeing from a swarm of bunnies, a reminder that even the most powerful individuals can be undone by the most unexpected circumstances. We've already discussed the medieval practice of putting animals on trial, but one case stands out as particularly bizarre and memorable. In 1386, a pig was put on trial in France and sentenced to death. The pig was accused of attacking and killing a child. The trial was conducted with all the formalities of a human trial, and the pig was even assigned a lawyer to defend it. Despite the lawyer's best efforts, the pig was found guilty and sentenced to be hanged. The execution was carried out publicly, and the pig was dressed in human clothing before being put to death. It's a truly strange and unsettling episode in legal history, a reminder of the vast differences between medieval and modern legal systems, and the often arbitrary nature of justice in that era. Imagine a world consumed by darkness, a time when the very air seemed to carry death. During the Black Plague, which ravaged Europe in the 14th century, some people genuinely believed it was the end of the world. The sheer scale of the devastation, with entire villages wiped out and families torn apart, led many to believe that divine retribution was upon them. The plague wasn't just a disease, it was a societal collapse, a psychological trauma that left an indelible mark on the human psyche. Fear gripped every heart, and the future seemed bleak, uncertain, and terrifyingly short. The societal norms crumbled as people struggled to survive in a world where death was a constant companion. In the Victorian era, death was a constant presence, and mourning rituals were elaborate and deeply ingrained in society. Victorian families, grappling with high mortality rates, particularly among children, often took photos with their dead relatives. These weren't morbid displays, but rather a way to preserve the memory of a loved one, a final opportunity to capture their image before they were lost forever. The practice, though unsettling to modern sensibilities, was a poignant expression of grief and a desperate attempt to hold on to the past in a time when death was an all-too-frequent visitor. These photographs served as tangible reminders of those who had passed, keeping their spirits alive within the family circle. The Cold War was a time of paranoia and intense ideological conflict, and in the shadows, governments engaged in some truly disturbing activities. The CIA, in its pursuit of gaining a strategic advantage, ran mind control experiments on unsuspecting people, often without telling them or obtaining any form of consent. These experiments, shrouded in secrecy and ethical breaches, aimed to explore the possibilities of manipulating human thought and behavior. The victims, often vulnerable individuals, were subjected to psychological and physical trauma, leaving lasting scars and raising profound questions about the limits of government power and the sanctity of individual autonomy. The pursuit of knowledge, in this case, came at a terrible human cost. History is filled with figures who wielded immense power and left a trail of destruction in their wake. Joseph Stalin, the dictator of the Soviet Union for over 3 decades, caused more deaths than Hitler. His policies of forced collectivization, political purges, and the creation of a vast network of labor camps known as the Gulag system resulted in the deaths of millions of innocent people. Stalin's reign of terror was marked by widespread famine, executions, and the suppression of any form of opposition. His legacy is a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the devastating consequences of totalitarian ideology. The numbers are staggering, the stories heartbreaking, and the impact on the Soviet Union and the world immeasurable. The guillotine, a symbol of the French Revolution and a tool of swift and brutal justice, might seem like a relic of the past. However, the guillotine was still used in France until 1977. The last execution by guillotine took place in September of that year, marking the end of capital punishment in the country. The continued use of this archaic device in the late 20th century is a stark reminder of how deeply ingrained certain traditions can be, even when they clash with modern sensibilities. It also highlights the ongoing debate surrounding capital punishment and the evolving standards of justice around the world. World War II officially ended in 1945, but for some, the war never truly ended. Isolated and unaware of the surrender, some Japanese soldiers continued fighting decades after World War II ended. Deep in the jungles of remote islands, these soldiers, clinging to their duty and their belief in the emperor, remained hidden, engaging in sporadic skirmishes and living off the land. Their stories are a testament to the power of indoctrination, the psychological toll of war, and the enduring human capacity for survival, even in the face of overwhelming odds and a world that had moved on without them. They were ghosts of a bygone era, trapped in a time warp of their own making. In ancient Rome, entertainment took on a decidedly brutal form. Ancient Romans watched live executions for fun. These weren't somber affairs, but rather spectacles designed to thrill and titillate the masses. Gladiatorial combats, animal hunts, and public executions were all part of the Roman entertainment landscape, reflecting a society where violence was normalized and death was a public spectacle. The Colosseum, a massive amphitheater, served as the stage for these gruesome events, drawing huge crowds eager to witness the drama and bloodshed. It's a chilling reminder of the cultural differences that separate us from the past and the dark side of human nature. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a fierce competition for technological and scientific supremacy. In a controversial move, the U.S. government launched Operation Paperclip, a secret program to recruit Nazi scientists, including some who had been implicated in war crimes. These scientists, with their expertise in rocketry, aerospace, and other advanced fields, were brought to the United States to contribute to the American war effort and to prevent their knowledge from falling into the hands of the Soviets. The ethical implications of this decision were significant, raising questions about the price of progress and the compromises made in the pursuit of national security. In the Middle Ages, medical knowledge was limited, and the causes of disease were poorly understood. People believed diseases came from bad smells, not germs. This belief, known as the miasma theory, led to some rather peculiar practices, such as carrying bouquets of flowers or wearing masks filled with fragrant herbs to ward off the bad air that was thought to spread disease. Plague doctors with their distinctive beaked masks became symbols of the era, attempting to protect themselves from the perceived dangers of the infected environment. While their methods were ultimately ineffective, they represent a fascinating chapter in the history of medicine and the human struggle to understand and combat disease. the history of the papacy is filled with intrigue, power struggles, and some truly bizarre events. A pope once dug up a corpse, dressed it up in papal robes, and put it on trial. This macabre event, known as the Cadaver Synod, took place in 897 AD when Pope Stephen VI exhumed the body of his predecessor, Pope Formosus, and subjected it to a mock trial. The reasons behind this bizarre act were complex and rooted in the political rivalries of the time. It remains one of the most shocking and unsettling episodes in the history of the Catholic Church, a testament to the depths of human depravity and the lengths to which people will go to seize and maintain power. Back in the day, believe it or not, ketchup wasn't just a condiment for your fries, it was actually sold as medicine. Can you imagine heading to the pharmacy for a bottle of Heinz instead of cough syrup? Early versions of ketchup were thought to have medicinal properties, touted as a cure-all for everything from indigestion to the common cold. It's a far cry from its current status as a beloved topping for burgers and hot dogs. This just goes to show how much our perceptions and uses of everyday items can change over time. It makes you wonder what other things we use today might have a completely different purpose in the future. Perhaps our smartphones will be used as medical devices, or our self-driving cars will become mobile homes. The possibilities are endless. So, next time you're squeezing some ketchup onto your plate, take a moment to appreciate its strange and surprising history. It's a reminder that even the most mundane things can have a fascinating story to tell. Here's a mind-blowing fact. The Eiffel Tower, that iconic symbol of Paris, actually grows taller in the summer. It's not magic, of course, but simple physics. As the temperature rises, the metal structure expands due to heat. This phenomenon, known as thermal expansion, causes the tower to increase in height by several inches. While it's not a dramatic change that you'd notice with the naked eye, engineers have to take this expansion into account when designing and maintaining the structure. They use special expansion joints to allow the metal to move without causing any damage. It's a testament to their ingenuity and understanding of the laws of nature. So next time you're visiting the Eiffel Tower on a hot summer day, remember that you're standing beneath a structure that's literally growing before your eyes. It's just one of the many hidden wonders that make this landmark so special. The UK experienced a truly devastating event in 1952, a deadly fog that claimed the lives of over 10,000 people. This wasn't just any ordinary fog. It was a thick, toxic smog that blanketed London for days, bringing the city to a standstill. The smog was caused by a combination of cold weather, which led to increased coal burning, and a lack of wind to disperse the pollutants. The result was a thick, yellow-brown haze that choked the city, causing widespread respiratory problems and ultimately leading to thousands of deaths. The Great Smog of 1952 served as a wake-up call, highlighting the dangers of air pollution and prompting the UK government to take action. It led to the passage of the Clean Air Act of 1956, which introduced measures to reduce smoke emissions and improve air quality. The tragedy serves as a stark reminder of the importance of environmental protection and the need to prioritize public health. Get this, Australia once went to war with emus, and believe it or not, they lost. In 1932, faced with a massive influx of emus ravaging crops, Australian farmers appealed to the government for help. The response? Deploying soldiers armed with machine guns to cull the emu population. However, the emus proved to be surprisingly elusive and resilient. They scattered and dodged the gunfire, proving to be a much tougher opponent than anticipated. The Emu War, as it became known, was a complete failure, with the military failing to significantly reduce the emu population. The incident became a source of national embarrassment, and a testament to the surprising adaptability of wildlife. It's a truly bizarre chapter in military history, highlighting the challenges of dealing with unexpected adversaries. Prepare to be amazed by the story of Mike the Headless Chicken, a true medical marvel. This extraordinary bird lived for a staggering 18 months after being decapitated. In 1945, a farmer attempted to slaughter Mike for dinner, but his axe skills were a bit off. He managed to remove most of Mike's head, but crucially, he left the brainstem intact. This allowed Mike to continue functioning, albeit in a rather unusual state. Mike became a celebrity, touring the country and earning his owner a fortune. He was fed a liquid diet through an eyedropper and even attempted to preen his feathers, despite lacking a head. Mike's story is a testament to the resilience of life and the surprising complexity of the avian nervous system. It's a truly bizarre and unforgettable tale that continues to fascinate people to this day. Here's a presidential anecdote you won't find in the history books. Andrew Jackson, the seventh president of the United States, had a parrot that apparently had a rather colorful vocabulary. And according to some accounts, this parrot unleashed a torrent of profanities at Jackson's own funeral. The story goes that Jackson taught his parrot, named Pole, some rather salty language. During the solemn funeral service, Paul reportedly let loose with a string of curse words that shocked and scandalized the mourners. While the story may be embellished over time, it adds a touch of irreverent humor to the life of a complex and controversial figure. It's a reminder that even presidents have their quirks and that history can be full of unexpected surprises. Imagine a world where you have no control over when your alarm clock rings. That was the reality for people who relied on the very first alarm clocks. These early devices were incredibly basic, only capable of ringing at one preset time, 4 a.m. That's right, whether you needed to wake up early for work or wanted to sleep in, you were stuck with a 4 a.m. wake-up call. It wasn't until much later that inventors developed more sophisticated alarm clocks that allowed users to set their own desired wake-up times. So the next time you're hitting the snooze button on your modern alarm clock, take a moment to appreciate the luxury of being able to choose when you wake up. Here's a construction secret from the past. Roman concrete is stronger than the concrete we use today. And the proof is in the pudding, or rather, in the structures that have stood the test of time. Buildings like the Pantheon and Roman aqueducts are still standing strong after thousands of years, while modern concrete structures often show signs of wear and tear much sooner. Scientists have been studying Roman concrete to unlock the secrets of its durability. They've discovered that the Romans used a unique combination of materials and techniques that made their concrete incredibly resistant to cracking and erosion. It's a testament to their engineering prowess and a reminder that sometimes the best solutions are found in the past. During World War II, Winston Churchill, known for his strategic thinking, once seriously considered a rather unconventional weapon: bat bombs. The idea was to attach tiny incendiary devices to bats and release them over enemy cities. The bats would then roost in buildings, and the incendiaries would ignite, causing widespread fires. While the concept sounds outlandish, it was actually given serious consideration by military planners. The project was eventually scrapped due to technical challenges and concerns about its effectiveness. However, it remains a fascinating example of the creative and sometimes bizarre ideas that were explored during wartime. Before the invention of the rubber eraser, people in the 1830s had a rather unusual way of correcting their mistakes. They used breadcrumbs. That's right, instead of reaching for a pink eraser, they would simply grab a piece of bread and rub it over the pencil marks to erase them. It might sound messy and inefficient, but it was the best option available at the time. The invention of the rubber eraser revolutionized the writing process, making it much easier to correct errors and produce clean, legible documents. So, next time you're using an eraser, take a moment to appreciate the simple convenience of this everyday tool. King Tut's parents were siblings. Queen Elizabeth II was a trained mechanic during World War II. Spartans examined newborns and discarded the weak ones. A Roman emperor made his horse a senator. King Charles II drank powdered human skulls for health. The last Chinese emperor became a gardener. Marie Antoinette never said let them eat cake. Some medieval kings bathed only once a year. U.S. President Grover Cleveland had a secret surgery on a boat. Tsar Nicholas II and King George V were cousins, and looked like twins. The first computer programmer was a woman, Ada Lovelace. Nikola Tesla fell in love with a pigeon. Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel. He declined. Isaac Newton stuck a needle into his eye socket to study light. Galileo went blind from staring at the sun. Ancient doctors used leeches and bloodletting to cure disease. Freeze-dried food and baby formula came from the space race. The first heart surgery happened without anesthesia. Early electric cars existed in the 1800s. Before rubber erasers, people used bread to erase pencil marks. Which one shocked you the most? Hit that like button if your brain exploded. And don't forget to subscribe for more wild history you never learned in school.